Welcome back to BTV, hosers. You've entered the Great White North of Trivia, Canadian Music Edition. From rock icons who shook the world to one-hit wonders that barely made it past Moose Jaw, we're putting your Canuck knowledge to the test. So, crack a cold one, apologize in advance for your wrong answers, and let's see if you're true north strong and musically free. Or just tragically unhip. The easy round. If you miss these, you may want to check the core temperature of your noodle, as it may be frozen. What Manitoba-born artist sang "Life is a Highway"? Tom Cochrane. Who wrote Hallelujah, which became widely covered in the 2000s? Leonard Cohen. Whose first offense was wearing his sunglasses at night? Corey Hart. Which artist sang "Haven't Met You Yet"? Michael Bublé. Who fronted the band Moist before his solo career? David Usher. Which singer had the 2012 global hit "Call Me Maybe"? Carly Rae Jepsen. Which band had the 2001 hit "How You Remind Me"? Nickelback. Someday was a hit single released by which band in 1986? Glass Tiger. What band had hits with "Try" and "Boy Inside the Man"? Blue Rodeo. Which Nova Scotia singer had a 1970 hit with "Snowbird"? Anne Murray. Nick Gilder dropped which hit single in 1978? Hot Child in the City. Which Victoria-born artist won a 2002 Grammy for "I'm Like a Bird"? Nelly Furtado. Which Ontario-born singer's 1972 single, "Heart of Gold", hits #1 in the US? Neil Young. Who recorded "Laughing" and "These Eyes"? The Guess Who. Who was the lead singer of the Tragically Hip? Gord Downie. Rest in peace, sir. Which singer from Timmins, Ontario, released the 1997 album "Come On Over"? Shania Twain. What Montreal-based artist is known for "Brother Down" and "Hard Road"? Sam Roberts. Which Scarborough band recorded "If I Had $1 Million"? Bare Naked Ladies. Which Tragically Hip song shares its name with an Ontario town? Bob Cajun. Which band's 1977 anthem urges you to raise a little hell? Trooper. Which folk rocker wrote The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? Gordon Lightfoot. Which Ontario singer debuted with the single Complicated in 2002? Avril Lavigne. Which 1995 album by Alanis Morissette features You Ought to Know? Jagged Little Pill. Wasn't That a Party was a hit for which band? The Irish Rovers. The Rovers. Which rock band had the 1981 hit Just Between You and Me? April Wine. The middle round. Like a moose on black ice, most of you will start to lose your footing here. Good luck, eh? High School Confidential was a 1980 hit for which band? Rough Trade. What band had a hit with Everything is Automatic? Matthew Good Band. What singer released the album Fumbling Towards Ecstasy? Sarah McLachlan. What Indigenous artist released the album Power in the Blood? Buffy St. Marie. Which Canadian jazz pianist married Elvis Costello in 2003? Diana Krall. Hemivision is the third album by which band? Big Sugar. Dangerous Times was a 1990 single for which Vancouver Island native and female artist? Sue Medley. Rain Maida is the frontman for which Toronto-based band formed in 1992? Our Lady Peace. Living Under June is a 1994 album by which female artist? Jan Arden. Which Calgary-born twins scored a pop hit with Closer, 2012? Tegan and Sarah. Which band recorded the Live to Mike album The Trinity Session in a Toronto church? Cowboy Junkies. The Flyer from their 1983 album Heads or Tails was a single for which one-word named band? Saga. This Morning was a 1987 single from their album Mending Wall by which band? Chalk Circle. Which singer founded the Lilith Fair Touring Festival in 1997? Sarah McLachlan. Which folk rocker is known for activist singles like If I Had a Rocket Launcher? Bruce Cockburn. Which Canadian electronic producer is famous for performing in a mouse head helmet? Deadmau5. Which Stratford, Ontario pop star first broke through on YouTube as a teen? Justin Bieber. Which hip-hop pioneer scored the 1989 hit Let Your Backbone Slide? Maestro Fresh Wes. Which song earned K.D. Lang a 1993 Grammy for Best Female Pop Vocal? Constant Craving. Which Saskatchewan band had the 1990 hit She Ain't Pretty? The Northern Pikes. What group hosted the Juno Awards in 2002? Bare Naked Ladies. Doin' It Right was a 1980 single for which band? Powder Blues Band. Which 1970 Joni Mitchell album includes Big Yellow Taxi? Ladies of the Canyon. A Criminal Mind is a 1985 single by which artist? Gowan. Before going country, Dallas Smith was in which Vancouver-based hard rock band? Default. The infamous Level 3. Only true Canuck music savants survive this level. The rest will be crawling back to curling practice. Released in 1988, Something to Live For was a hit for which band? Barney Bentle and the Legendary Hearts. Doug and the Slugs' 1983 single Making It Work was off of which album? Music for the Hard of Thinking. Sounds like some of you may actually relate. Before venturing out as a successful solo artist, Bryan Adams was the vocalist for which band? Sweeney Todd. 1983 gave us the hit single Doesn't Really Matter by which band? Platinum Blonde. Which East Coast band released their single Weighty Ghost in 2007? Winter Sleep. What band released the album 5 Days in July in 1993? Blue Rodeo. Who fronted the synth-punk duo Crystal Castles? Alice Glass, replaced later by Edith Francis. Which Atlantic Canada Celtic band, with 11 albums to their name, released the single When My Ship Comes In 1996? Rawlins Cross. Which band, formed in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia in 1992, hit a charting single with Curious? Sandbox. Drummer Pat Stewart, often found backing Bryan Adams, is also the drummer for what heterosexual man band? Odds. The Jerry Cans are a band from what remote Canadian city? Iqaluit, Nunavut. You're No Good, from their 1991 album Gump, was a song by who? Sons of Freedom. Bryan Adams sang backup on a 1986 hit by which Canadian band? Glass Tiger, Don't Forget Me, When I'm Gone. Which producer from Quebec co-produced U2's The Joshua Tree with Brian Eno? Daniel Lanois. Which US chart milestone did the Guess Who achieve with American Woman in May 1970? First Canadian band to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Chilliwack, BC-born, successful songwriter, producer and musician, Jim Vallance was a drummer in which band where he used what alias? Prism, as Rodney Higgs. Which Inuk throat singer won the 2014 Polaris Music Prize for Animism? Tanya Tagaq. Todd Kearns, frontman for Age of Electric, is now a part of which international rock star's band? Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. Jerry Doucette's album Mama Let Him Play was recorded and released in what year? (1977). Which Vancouver indie supergroup, led by A.C. Newman, released Mass Romantic? The New Pornographers. Songstress Anne Murray was born in which maritime town, also known for 2 coal mining disasters? Spring Hill, Nova Scotia. Rapper Cardinal Official was going by which moniker before 1993? Kool-Aid. Pop-punk band Faber Drive was formed in 2004 in which West Coast Canadian town? Mission, BC. Who was the original drummer in Rush before Neil Peart? John Rutsey. Which 1987 song by the band Haywire starts with singer Paul McCausland yelling, "Drop the needle"? Dance Desire. And there you have it, Brainiacs. Canadian music trivia conquered. Or maybe it conquered you. Either way, don't just sit there like a beaver on a smoke break. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you don't miss your next shot at redemption. And if you did well, let us all know in the comments below. Go on, make me proud. Or at least slightly less disappointed. Melvin, out! That was cute. Want to try something a bit more mentally taxing? Click another video, assuming you understand how hyperlinks work.